Unapologetic Gentlemen. This is episode 3. Ready to get straight into it. Thank everybody for listening. We appreciate you guys. We're going to get straight right into our questions from our first social media follower. The question is it possible for the United States to ever have universal health care?
I'm going to say I think yes. And the reason why is because when I was doing a little bit of research on this, when I knew that we were going to be talking about this topic, we're the only developed country that hasn't enforced this yet. And we're paying for it with our tax dollars anyways. So my answer is yes. Yes, that I think, and I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, that's a liberal way of thinking. But I think, yes, that people should be getting universal health care because taxpayers are billing out these hospitals that are saying that their patients aren't paying their bill anyways. So why not just have that universal health care? What do you guys think about that? Because I think it's a yes. It's a yes for me.
Yeah, is it possible? Of course. Do I think it's going to happen? I highly doubt it. I am as liberal as it comes. I believe that every American should have health care. I believe that every American should not go hungry, like things like that. I do. I believe that. As we know, like I believe there's like 35 countries or something like that with healthcare. Like
it's more than
universal.
It's over 65.
It's over 65. Oh, excuse me.
Over 65.
So over 65, and we know that Canada does it. We know that the UK does it. We know that Germany does it. Hong Kong, China. These are developed countries. These are countries that they do some version of it. So there's like 3 or 4 different versions of it. They do some version of it. So I do believe that the United States can get there, and I do believe the United States can do that. Do I think it's likely? No, but I do believe it's possible.
So I wanted to ask you guys this, because I know we're going to get a little bit into it as far as the VA healthcare that I receive. For the NFL, how long do you guys have to play in order for you guys to receive healthcare benefits after, you're done and you retire, you're out of the league?
3 vested seasons.
Yeah.
Right?
So exactly that. 3 vested seasons. It's basically 4 years. So you don't get your vested. You don't become vested until you do 3 years, 5 games. So
3 years, 5 games.
3 years, 5 games. So
what does it cover?
What does it cover? It covers, so your healthcare is only covered for 5 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So only 5 years after you get out of the league.
After you're out of the league.
Wow.
So your healthcare is only covered for 5 years after you get out of the league. At that point in time, you should have put in some money to your union and stuff like that. So you should have a little bank where if you wanted to extend that coverage, they just pull money from it and be able to pay for that coverage for you. But again, that's money that's coming out of your pocket one way or another. But again, 5 years, you get it. It's Cigna. It's damn good.
And I don't want to get too far off topic, but I think that this podcast is going to be politics, sports, all mixed in together. So that's why I wanted to kind of give you guys a counter question to the original question that was asked about healthcare in America. So after you guys get out of the NFL and after 5 years, any, like, let's say back issues, knee issues, or anything like that comes up from an aggressive sport, the NFL is basically like, all right, you're on your own now?
For the most part. Mine ends in March. And at that point, I'll probably just pick it up.
What do you mean pick it up?
Like I told you, there's money in the bank, and you can
got it.
You can roll it over and pick it up and stuff like that. So I'll probably do that
Through your pension.
Through my pension. So there's ways to do it through your pension and all that stuff, through benefits. I didn't want to kind of go into that, but nonetheless, you can do that and you can pick it up. I'll probably do that simply because it's just easier for me and my family, my daughter. But that's just the way it kind of works in the NFL.
From your guys' experience with your friends that also played in the league, do you guys feel like they come out banged up pretty much to where now all of a sudden the hospital bills are piling up and shit like that? Like, is that an issue that you guys know about?
Everyone comes out banged up.
I'm saying, but is it an issue as far as like hospital bills being piled up and now you're like, yo, after 5 years, it's like, okay, now you're just like every other American, you're on your own.
Yeah, because not much happens after the 5 years that you stop playing. Don't get me wrong, you're probably 30. I'll be 35. No, I'll be 36. So, like, not much is going to happen to me at 36. But at 46, 56. Like that's when those knee bangs and shoulder bangs and hip
and
bangs
you start
and
to
things
get
like
in
that.
the whole CTE discussion.
And there's a whole different
a lot of
I
the
think
older
going forever.
players are suffering way more than guys that just finished.
Of course,
a lot of the older guys
they got it worse than me.
They don't have the same pension plans.
They got it worse than me.
The money that they made wasn't very much.
Yeah.
So that's just a different level of suffering.
Yeah, my CBA changed when 2010 was the CBA year, I believe. Something like that. 2010 was the CBA year. So I'm reaping the benefits from 2010. We're talking about people who were like 10, 20 years prior to that.
So that all comes
50 years old now.
It all comes back down to the original question, which was Americans getting provided free health care by the government. Is that something that you think is possible here?
Do I think we should have it? Yes. Do I think it'll happen in our lifetime? No.
Why? Why not?
It's a money
for a
thing,
few
man.
reasons.
Anything, in my opinion.
Now, yes, we're a developed country, and all the other quote unquote developed countries in the world have free healthcare, right? So you have Canada, who has a single payer system, which basically means that the hospitals and the providers, the healthcare providers, are a private business, and then the government pays. Right, so that's where you get the single payer thing that Bernie Sanders was talking about. It's universal healthcare. Then you have the UK system where everything's socialized and everything, including the healthcare providers, is run by the government. Right, just two different ways of doing it. Two different ways to skin a cat. The reason why I think we're different,
but ours is very similar to the third one.
No, it is very similar. It is very similar because we have Medicare, we have Medicaid, we have a lot of things. Right, but our cost that we're paying per person, per family is just outrageous. Which is
technically Obamacare.
Right? But the difference that I would say, and this ties into another.
But why can't we afford it? If
I'm going to tell you why, right? Because do you want to pay more taxes?
I mean, at the end of the day, you can cut tax budgets from elsewhere.
Okay, but in general, do you want to pay more taxes?
But that's
the question is always going to be no. But yeah, we can cut taxes from elsewhere to then be able to afford this. Like
this ties into my point.
Go and then I'm going to go.
This ties into my point. So the difference between us and all the other quote unquote developed countries is the amount of money that we spend on the military. Right?
We spent over 13 times more than the next closest country or something like that.
2018,
something crazy.
$850 billion. 2019, we spent $720 billion. We have 800 military bases in 70 countries. The question is, do we need those? That's
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
and my main point here is I think I believe that the number one job of the president is national security.
Yeah.
And I think military obviously
is very important.
A huge part
it's
in
very
that.
important.
And national security is huge.
To me, the fact that we're the leading light in the West, in the Western culture, in terms of keeping peace, in terms of policy, the UN, we have the most power, right? So we're spending money. We have military bases in all these countries, right? I don't think we could just, the way we are as a country, I don't think that we could just all of a sudden go one day, you know what, we have 800 military bases in 70 countries. Let's cut that down to 50.
No.
Right? It would save a ton of money, but I just don't see us doing that, right? So all these other countries that we named, they don't have that expense. Canada, when do they get? They don't get involved in anything. So it's a lot easier for them to have universal health care, right? When they're not spending $800 billion on military per year.
I can understand that, but at some point, it's not like we don't have enough money where we could still afford to give you.
We do, but
we can afford to give universal healthcare.
But we're going to be taxing people more
because that's what
you could say.
That's what they want to do
somewhere else, but we're already giving it to the military.
You can't say there's. You could take it from somewhere else, but you're not about to tell me there's not a surplus of money sitting somewhere.
Military
that you can't use that for, whether it's the military or not.
It's 100% the military.
You're not going to tell me. I don't know.
They're overspending on that budget.
I'm not saying they aren't. I appreciate and I understand what national.
You know what the problem is with America. Let me say this though. The problem is with Americans is that they want to have They want to have, you know, those defenses, the Army and the military and the Marines, and they want to have all that ready to go. They want to make sure that we spend enough money on there to feel safe.
Of course, we've been the bully for so long. We just can't all.
But that's what I'm saying. If America would just stop stepping on people's sneakers, then we'd be all right.
But it's too late for that.
Yeah.
Can you think about how we've occupied the Middle East and the certain things, restrictions and things we've done to countries, right? Do you think if we just all of a sudden became Canada, all those other countries that we've in their minds done wrong?
So we basically just fucked over too many people.
It's not that we fucked over too many people. I just think that we've decided that we're gonna be the police of the world. Right? I don't think
who appointed us that though.
I don't think you can go back on that.
I don't think you need to go back on that. You're not about to tell me there's not enough money to also give us health care.
But
you're not about to tell me
where are you taking the money without taxing people more money.
Listen, so you're about to tell me they tell us everything about the budget?
No, I'm just saying.
So look. I had a conversation with my brother just the other day about this, and he made a very valid point.
And your brother was in the military for how long?
He was a Marine for 5 years, I believe, 5 or 6 years, and he said that he made a very valid point that I was just like, you know what, that's definitely something that I think about that I'm going to share on the podcast. And he said the city of Miami, I forgot which hospital he said, but one of their hospitals was literally telling the city like, hey, listen, we're going to have to shut down because a lot of these patients aren't paying their bills. So guess what the city did? Because you have to have a hospital for your civilians, for your citizens, correct? Yeah. So guess what the city did?
Bail them out.
They paid them. They bailed them out. Where do you think that money came from?
Taxpayers.
So why don't we just do that already? If we're gonna bail them out anyways, why not just pay?
But you don't put good money behind bad money just because, like, if someone, because there's a whole bunch of counties in America that are bankrupt.
When it comes to healthcare, you put good money behind bad money.
That's our opinion, but we haven't done that yet. Is my point. Like there's a reason why we haven't done it yet.
You know what's crazy? I went to Europe about 2 years ago, and one of my cousins, he lives in Sweden. I went to go visit him in Sweden, and we had this exact same conversation. He was like, "Oh, I went to the hospital the other day. Do you know what my bill was?" I was like, "What?" He was like, "Nothing."
But
that's
Sweden,
crazy.
Right? The bigger issue is
they're smaller countries.
They're making money off of this. Like they don't give a damn about.
Of course, they don't give a damn. It's big business.
It's capitalism.
But
so like
that's
not.
You know what the crazy thing is, right? In the rankings in terms of healthcare, right? Canada's number 1. The U.S. is 15th. So even though we're paying the most, we're not even the best. We're not even the best in healthcare in the country. I think the average person in America, right, is paying about $12,000 a year, right, in terms of their premiums and their copays or whatever, and their employees are paying another $16,000. So you combine that, right? That's crazy.
So
it's crazy.
And I was reading about this because obviously we're going to talk about it. And the studies show that if you have universal health care, you live longer and you live a healthier life. Like that's one. That's your quality of life. Like there's nothing.
You guys want to hear something crazy? Look, I was in the Air Force. Right? I did 5 years, 6 years. I did 2 years active duty, 4 years in the reserve, so 6 years. I did 6 years in the Air Force. And do you know that most of the military is made up of minorities?
Of course.
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's working class people.
Yeah. No, why? Because they're looking for those benefits. And one of the main benefits is for free health care. Yeah. So a lot of the people that are defending this country are minorities that are joining in order to get something that should be provided to them already. So a lot of these people that are losing their lives come from underprivileged neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. And when I joined, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like, I'm looking around here, and there was a lot of people that looked like me. There was a lot of Latinos, a lot of black. There was a lot of everything. I'm not going to say there was just minorities, but the majority of it was minorities. And the main reason when I was speaking to a lot of them on why you joined was because my parents can't afford to pay this. My parents can't afford to pay that. I'm not going to have health care. So we're having an issue to where the people that are putting their lives at risk to defend this country are doing it for something that should already be provided for us. That's bullshit to me.
I
mean, but there's a lot of the main cons that I've heard are, one, of course, the significant tax hikes. 2, longer wait times, which I don't know how true that is because I lived in Canada for a few months and went to the hospital a couple of times. I didn't notice that there were any longer wait times. And then another thing is people think that competition, right, the lack of competition creates a lack of ambition, a lack of innovation for people to create things and be better doctors or better nurses, or when everything is free, or they're government employees and it doesn't matter. Because a lot of these places, right, we're a very litigious country. We sue the hell out of people, right? And a lot of these places where there's universal health care, you can't sue, right? You can't sue for medical malpractice. So that's a big part. And obviously through the data, the quality doesn't shrink because we're 15th in the world in healthcare. So there's 14 countries that have universal healthcare that are above us. So I don't really know what the holdup is. I just
money.
The way we are as a country, like I just don't see it because
money. I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. But it's money.
Where we've gotten so like think about it. Our healthcare in America, like obviously apart from veterans, right, is tied to our employer. Think about how ridiculous that is.
Why do you think
like
that
it's
is?
tied to your
why do you
employer.
think that is, though?
That's crazy.
Because they want people working.
That's crazy when you think about it, though.
They
like, the American mentality, like all the other people I know from other countries, like they just find it ridiculous that we pay for healthcare. But like we're just so used to it that it's like, oh yeah, it comes out of our check every month. Like I don't even think about it, and I pay like. Because of me, my wife, and I pay a ridiculous amount.
No, it's insane. It's
ridiculous amount.
It's insane.
But I don't even think about it because it's just something I know.
You know you need.
The check.
Like, you have to.
When you look at it, it's absurd. It's absurd. The amount it costs that we all have children, like to have a baby in America. Like when I seen the bills, I was like, what? I couldn't believe it. Crazy. In my mind, I'm like, how did my mom have 4 children? Mm-hmm. Yeah, she went in debt probably. That's how she had 4 children. Crazy. People are having children going in debt because we don't have free healthcare. Ridiculous.
So I guess we're on this question. We all agree that universal healthcare is definitely a must. And you know what's funny that
we all agree. I think we all agree it's not gonna happen.
But the thing is, a lot of people. It's funny when you have conversations with people. People will say, "Oh, you have a liberal way of thinking, or you have a conservative way of thinking, or you have a progressive way of thinking." Like they'll shoot out.
I just look at the data.
The thing is with me, man, I can't label myself a certain. I know a lot of people will be listening and be like, "Oh, you have a liberal mentality," but I agree with so many different ways of thinking that I can't really label myself.
When I see new information, I'm up to changing my mind about something.
Absolutely,
that's how I am.
I'm very open to change my mind.
I'm too logical to see information and data. Empirical data,
but this is one thing that I believe is bullshit. That as a country, we should be.
Well, every other developed country,
we're the only one
has shown that it can be done. But again,
I just think
we spend more money on the military
than
everyone else.
I just think that some things are for the people. Some things need to be for the people. Like, and healthcare is one of those things. Healthcare and food. Like, there's no reason.
There's people that have in the last. What, COVID's been around for 7-8 months now, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. There's people that have probably died at home because 100%. They were scared 100%. To go to the hospital and incur a hospital bill.
But there's people that die.
So people should be dying. But do you know why? But do you know why people that have money don't give a fuck? Because that's not their family member or friend dying.
Of course. They're so far
that's the disconnect that we have, man.
20,000 people a year die from illnesses that could be treated just because they don't have healthcare.
That's insane.
Yeah,
that's insane.
And I think that's that's the disconnect and the divide that we have here in this country, is that we don't think for our fellow American.
For the next person.
We still are stuck on race.
We claim
we're still stuck on race. We're still stuck on gender.
That's because we want to claim
we're still stuck on all these labels versus saying, you know what, we're all Americans. We all live in this country, and that's the shit that pisses me off, man. Because I joined the Air Force in 2004, and I remember one of the Caucasian guys, walked up to our drill sergeant, and I was, quote unquote, one of the team leaders. I was asked to be one of the team leaders. And I heard him say, I was the unassigned team leader. And he walked up to our drill sergeant and he asked in 2004, right? This guy asked if he could be moved from his bunk. And the drill sergeant, it was a Mexican drill sergeant. The Mexican drill sergeant looked at this Caucasian and said, why? And he said, because I've never seen a black person before. And the reason why I'm bringing this point up is because I'm not turning it about race. I'm turning it about how it's about just people don't understand what it is to be either a black man or a woman that's been, based off of her gender, she's been discriminated on. Like, people don't know what it's like to be something that they're not. And I think that's the biggest problem, because when it comes to universal health care, a lot of people with money are saying, no, I don't want to go into that way of thinking because that's a communist way of thinking. And I think it's bullshit, man. I think we need to stop with the labels. We need to stop with the...
well, they'll say it's a socialist way of thinking, but we already have...
A socialist
the police
way of
are a
thinking, yes.
socialist program. The fire department's a socialist program. Like, everything's, he's a socialist, a Marxist, a communist, or this, that, and the other. But, like, universal health. I don't see it happening. I agree with it 100%.
So from a political
I
standpoint, right? If somebody is agreeing with universal healthcare like we are, what are people that don't agree with universal healthcare going to be saying they're too socialist? They want to make sure they want to give everything for free to everybody.
I think the big part of it is because we've never had it. Like, it's just not the American way. So, like, people, everyone,
that is huge.
And I'm not gonna lie to y'all, man. I'm getting emotional because this shit upsets me, man.
Pull yourself up by
This
your
shit upsets me,
bootstraps
man.
and work hard and take care of your family, and so
that's not always
we're gonna get into that in a later question.
That's
but
not always
like,
necessarily
of course, that's
yeah, but you know what's funny, man? What's funny about that of all of that of just these benefits, they shouldn't be for this. You're giving away free money. It's bullshit until you need it. Because there's plenty of people that have a 9-to-5 that say that shit. When it's time to get your ass fired, all of a sudden you in that unemployment line.
Oh, and that's what
and we've seen that during COVID.
That's what the last 7 months has taught people right there.
But that's what I'm saying though. Like, you don't need it until you need it.
Until you need it.
And then you talking that shit until you need it.
The real estate market crashed. That's the same shit. I mean, people understood. Like, when your way of life changes, then you look at things differently.
Of course.
But it takes something drastic for your way of life to change. Yeah.
I'm about to break this fucking microphone. What's the next question,
it's
man?
Like J. Cole said, man, I've never been rich, but I've been poor. People that have never been poor,
they don't understand it.
They'll never understand it.
They don't understand it.
So the next question is kind of ties into the Second Amendment. I think I can speak freely in saying that we all three of us agree in with the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
And the ability to own a firearm.
Bear arms.
This question comes from one of our social media followers, and this is very specific. But should gun laws be different state to state? Should that change? Because they are different state to state. So we have I think 26 states have open carry or open carry.
Should they be the same, or should they?
Should gun laws be the same in every state?
Yes, they should be the same in every state.
Yeah.
And why do you guys think they're different? I think they're different more so because of the terrain and lifestyle is so vastly different depending on if you live in New York City, right? That's a big difference between living in Billings, Montana.
I think they should be different
based off of population and all that.
Of course,
absolutely.
based on hunting.
So people should have to be limited based off of where they live.
But
I think they should be different. But I think obtaining one should be the same. So, however you have to,
I think it needs to be harder to obtain one.
It should be harder, but it should be the same way across. It should be.
I got
So you still think there should be open carry states?
Yeah, if it's an open carry state, that's perfectly fine. If it's concealed carry state, that's perfectly fine. I just feel like that.
I don't think it should be open carry.
I think it should be
in any state.
What's the difference?
And let me tell you why. Because there's people literally legit have a fear of weapons, and nobody should have to be put in that state of fear just because somebody feels like they have the right to have an open carry.
But you don't have to.
If you want to have your gun, you don't have
to live in that state. You don't have to live in that state.
But come on, man.
But that's easier said than done, though. Depending on
where you're born.
If you're a 15-year-old kid, you not really have a choice.
Yeah, if you're a 15-year-old kid,
there's legit people that are afraid of guns.
Of course. But again, I think that state to state, you should have.
You're gonna. So let me ask you something. You're gonna tell me that you being a black man, you wouldn't feel uncomfortable if, let's say,
I was a black man in Syracuse, New York.
Okay,
I was a black man in Boston, and I was a black man in Louisiana and Florida.
Joey,
and those
I get
are
it.
Different. They're all different.
That's what I'm saying. You're gonna tell me that you'd be okay with every state having the option to open carry. You're at Publix line and you have 4 people with you around you that have a Confederate flag shirt on with an open carry gun. You feel comfortable?
What I'm going to do is the same thing I did in Florida. Because when I lived in New York,
I asked you, would you feel comfortable?
yes, because I'm going to do the same thing I did when I lived in from living in New York to living in Florida. When I lived in New York, I was completely against guns. There's no reason why somebody should have a gun. No reason. Guess what? Jalan has already taken his license, got his concealed permit license. But I live in a place where this is different. The landscape is different. So if the landscape is different,
concealed carry state.
If the landscape is different, then I should.
All of them should be concealed carry.
Okay.
Why are people out here trying to play cowboy?
I don't think people
shouldn't be out here trying to play
just because
cowboy.
it's open doesn't mean I'm trying to play cowboy. Just because you can see it doesn't mean I'm trying to play cowboy.
So what are they showing it for?
Showing it because they want to be a jackass.
Probably because they got a little dick.
That's exactly why. That's why they got to lift the
gun
truck.
enthusiast.
Maybe. But I don't see if you're.
I believe that every state should be concealed carry. Personally,
if you're going to be
I believe that the
responsible,
regulations to get a weapon, to carry a weapon, should all be the same. Like the fact that you're going from state to state
is crazy,
and
I believe that
the law is changing. So
see, now I would have to do research on that because, man, listen, I would hate for people watching or listening to think that I'm making everything about race, but I would love to do a search and do my own research and see if getting a license or not getting a license or how hard it is to obtain in certain states goes by demographics. I would personally want to see why the change and all of that and what it is.
Well,
I don't think
that's something that also came back.
Is that not a fair question? Is that not a fair question?
I'm pretty sure California was an open carry state, and then the Black Panther Party showed up.
Hell yeah!
But wait, is that not? Is that not a fair question that I'm asking?
That's fair.
Of course it is, but also most minorities live in metropolitan areas where the gun laws are the strictest.
Gun laws are the strictest.
Why?
So there's definitely
because there's so many people there.
But also
because there's so many people there.
But those are the highest crime areas as well.
Highest crime areas. So many people live there. You don't get much hunting in New York City.
You're not hunting for a deer in New York City.
So I can understand why they're like that way. Why they're like that. I just think that again across the country we should all have a set rules or restrictions.
I think it needs to
get a license, but
it needs to be harder. That's the thing that I think it needs to be harder.
I don't care if it's open or concealed. I really that doesn't make a difference to me in my mind.
I also think the age should be 21 to be able to get a gun.
But you can go to the military at 18.
It should be
21. That's a good point, but I
think for the same reason you can only drink at 21.
But
it's stupid.
No,
but you should do it.
No, but listen, and I got
it's 18 in Canada.
Yeah,
no, but listen, I got a good.
But we're not in Canada.
I got a good answer for you.
But we just said that our healthcare should be like Canada.
And I'm not saying if we're gonna make it all 18, let's make it all 18.
No, but I got a good answer for you. I got a good answer for you because in the military, you're supervised. You're under strict supervision. That's the difference. An 18-year-old unsupervised is someone I don't trust compared to an 18-year-old that's supervised with trained military personnel. That's a big difference.
It is a big difference. Major difference. Major difference.
And that's why I think that in order to obtain a gun license in any state should be 21.
Okay, but what else do you believe? I mean, should it be some kind of
I think the background. I think the background checks need to be stricter. I think the background check needs to be stricter, and I also think that they need to have a psychiatrist do a mental health evaluation on it.
That would take forever.
Who gives a fuck? Your license is 7 years. What's 1 month to then have a license for 7 years?
I don't know if you have enough people who can do it.
Then you're not gonna. Then you don't want a gun bad enough. Because you don't want a gun bad enough.
It would just cost more. You'd pay for the psychiatric evaluation. I don't know if that's a necessary step.
Listen, I think that's a necessary step. I just think it's going to be very difficult to pull off. I think that everybody who owns a gun should have a mental evaluation. I don't know.
Listen, I went to the movies. I went to the movies today.
Yeah.
I went to the movies today. Pull my right hand on the Bible if we had a Bible right now. On everything I love. I went to the movies today to watch Tenet. I had people sitting behind me. I was afraid that there might be an active shooter. Dead ass serious.
But that's paranoia.
Huh?
Were you carrying?
I wasn't carrying today.
That's paranoia. No. That's you just being paranoid.
Because of the world that we live in today. Yeah, because any asshole can get a gun now.
But that's just, again,
I literally had it in the back of my mind when I sat down.
That's paranoia. How many times has a movie theater been shot up?
It doesn't matter.
Probably
it's
10.
Been shot up.
Probably 10. You
don't know the numbers.
I mean, it doesn't make a difference. It's so small that the likelihood of it happening is minimal.
Is my paranoia warranted?
I mean, but
yes, if you want to.
I don't know if you can use that argument because
How many times has this
Because a
happened?
lot of
It's like-
conservatives will use the argument
It's
that
like how many times has a plane
the
crashed?
percentage of black men that are shot by police is not very high, but yet I'm still nervous when I get pulled over.
The percentage, it's more likely that you be shot as a black man.
But it's not. The likelihood is not high.
It's because
Percentage-wise.
If we're going based on from black people to white people, then that simply just becomes pure numbers.
Yeah,
but no,
I'm saying I'm still nervous when I get pulled over by police.
A black man is like something 2 or 3 times more likely to get shot. Likely.
Yeah.
Like that. Okay, so
But I'm saying the percentage of you being actually shot by a police officer is still extremely low.
It is extremely low, but it's still more likely than anything else. Now, an active shooter in a movie theater.
No, not just movie theater. Anywhere.
Okay, whatever.
Anywhere.
Your workplace, mall, Walmart,
An active shooter,
church,
anywhere. An active shooter anywhere. The likelihood of that happening is less than a black man getting shot.
Let me tell you something. Look, I've had my.
But I'm saying it's not an irrational fear.
It's not.
I've had my concealed weapons license, right, and I have to renew it now. And there's been times where I've worked at places where people are like, "Oh yeah, certain individuals have guns," and now me, someone that in my mind I'm like, I don't need to bring my gun to the workplace. But now when you're telling me there's about 5 or 6 motherfuckers carrying weapons around me, now in order for me to feel safe, guess what you think I have to do?
I mean, you probably feel like you shouldn't carry a weapon.
That shouldn't be the case.
I don't know if but I don't.
But
know
that's not. You're not open carrying.
Which goes back to the point where I don't think it should be open carry, because just off of the thought that 5 other people around me have a weapon on them makes me want to feel like I need to. Violence promotes violence, bro.
Yeah,
that's the way that I feel.
I understand that, but guess what? If I know 5 people are carrying their weapon, I know for a fact because I can see it. Then I'll just carry mine, and everybody's we're on the same playing field now. If I'm, it's not me being, it's not.
Shouldn't have to.
It's not, you shouldn't have to. But I don't have to wonder anymore.
Like I
now
remember,
I'm not wondering. Now someone has to have to tell me. Now I don't need 5 people to tell me, because those days you spent, those weeks you spent, those months you spent, those years you spent in that workplace without your gun, and those people had it, you didn't know. So now I know. Now the playing field's even, and I'd rather sit here and say the playing field's even.
And and you know, that's basically determined on your employer, because there's some employers where they'll have it in their handbook where weapons are not allowed, whether you're licensed or not.
Of course.
But back to the.
But they'll never know if you're carrying.
It's concealed.
So what? It's still illegal just because they never know.
But if it's open,
I mean,
if it's open now we again, it's all on the playing field. If it's open world, it's all on the playing field. Again, I don't care what rules you give me by, or I don't care what rules I have to play by. Just tell me the rules ahead of time. Tell me the rules ahead of time. And let me know if I want to play or not. That's it.
But let me ask you this: but you're okay with having a gun, right? If you get licensed, you're okay with having a gun, right? I'm okay with having one. So let me ask you something: what about somebody that's not okay with having a gun? Right? That's not okay, but has 5.
We live in America.
But you live in America, and you live in Florida.
You can go to England.
You can go wherever you want. You live in America and you live in Florida. We're
all supporters of the Second Amendment. So at the end of the day, you're just abiding by the rules of the laws of each state. Now, I believe that each state, the laws should be the same.
Yeah.
That's all.
I believe. I don't think it has to be the same. I don't.
You don't think what has to be the same?
He's just saying, give me the script. Let me know.
Give me the script. Let me know
the rules so I can know how to play.
So I know how to play. That's all I'm saying.
I just think that it's tricky when you have someone who maybe has a gun in their glove compartment but drives from Massachusetts to New York and the law changes.
That happened to me when I moved. No, listen, when I moved.
That happened to Sebastian Telfair.
When I moved, I had my guns on me, but I was responsible though. When I moved, I have 2 guns, right? I have an AR and I have a handgun. And when I was moving from Texas, when I was in the Air Force back to Florida, I was smart enough to say, let me look up the gun laws in each state to know how I should carry these weapons responsibly
but
across
driving from Texas to Florida, those states, you're good.
You're probably good.
No, but I still did my due diligence.
Yeah,
like some assholes would just start driving around everywhere thinking that they're okay. You know what I'm saying? So like in some states, you're okay to travel with your weapon as long as your magazine is separate from your handgun. Mm-hmm. So you have to have it in 2 different compartments.
Yeah.
So like you can't be an asshole and think that it's going to be the same in every state. That's just dumb.
And my thing is like, which he alluded to earlier. Like, we live in Florida and it's concealed. I don't know it. I don't know. I go to work with 100, 200 people. I don't know who has their gun.
Yeah.
Like now it's a mystery game. It's a guessing game for me. Like, and it shouldn't have to be a guessing game. Like, fuck. If it's no,
So you'd rather them be open carry?
I'd rather it be one way or another, like whatever it may be. Just let me know the rules.
Okay.
And that's how I.
So we all agree that Second Amendment, yes,
Of course.
But we also all agree that it should be the same in every. Oh, you don't agree?
No, he doesn't.
Us two agree.
But we all agree it should be stricter rules and regulations on obtaining a gun.
Correct. What else we got, T?
All right. This tequila's kicking in. So this is a
I got water in mine.
three-part question from lies. This guy's lying. Three-part question from one of our social media followers. So follow with me. Should there be a minimum wage? What should the minimum wage be? And should minimum wage be a living wage?
Yes, there should be a minimum wage. Should there? What's the second question? Yes, there should be a minimum wage.
What should the minimum wage be?
That's hard to determine.
It's different. It's different in every state.
That's
Because,
different
yeah,
from
yeah,
It's
state to
different in
state.
every state.
Inflation
So you have
and all that
states like
comes into play.
Idaho where it's
That's hard to determine.
$7.25, and then you have
Yeah, but
Listen.
you'll get a soda for a quarter.
Of course.
yeah,
So the
but-
cost of living
Yeah.
is different too.
Like,
you have
there's-
states like California where it's $12.
Yeah.
So
obviously it's different state to state. I don't think anybody should live off $7 or $12 because that is
Yeah, I
fucking
remember.
difficult to do.
As a teenager, I went to California to go visit some family, and I went to the movie theater with my cousins. When I went to go pay, the lady was like $18. I was like, and I'm a teenager. I'm 35, man. This is over 20 years ago. She was like $18. I looked at her like she was crazy. $18. So yeah, cost of living is a
It's
big
insane.
play in that question.
and we live in South Florida, so the cost
Yeah.
of living down here is
I mean, obviously,
pretty high.
It just needs to be. It needs to be higher. Yes, there should be a minimum wage, but I don't think anybody should live under 12. I mean, I don't think anybody should be paid $12.
and the question
fucking
also
ridiculous.
depends on the person's lifestyle.
I don't give a shit what you're doing. Should be
Nah,
paying
it
$12
depends.
an
On,
hour.
everybody's lifestyle is different,
So-
man. Everybody, we know who the bougie one.
shock.
You know what I'm saying?
Shock,
So like,
shock value. I don't believe there should be a minimum wage.
What the?
One, I don't. Two,
You kidding me?
I don't believe a minimum wage job is meant for a living wage, right?
it's meant for temporary.
So let me go into my analysis of why.
Oh,
right.
man.
One, the reason why I don't
This
believe
guy
in the reason
is-
why I don't believe in minimum wage.
Whatever happened to
is
East Boston? Whatever happened to
the reason why I don't believe in
Brockton?
minimum wage is minimum wage keeps going up, right? So we're in a phase where automation is coming fast and furious. And
Absolutely.
Jeff
Yep.
Bezos is not stopping, right? So all those minimum wage, we're already seeing it at Walmart,
They'll be
CVS,
replaced.
all those places, right?
They'll be replaced.
So as you keep raising minimum wage, right? You
Companies
know what
find a way
those
to
big
replace it.
companies are going to do?
Find a way to
They're going to
replace
say, okay, no problem. We'll replace you with a machine.
Yeah.
Listen, on my honeymoon, I went to a McDonald's in the south of France, right? And there was literally one person working. Every station was like a self-checkout, right? So if you keep upping the minimum wage,
people are gonna start
right,
losing jobs.
you're gonna have, right, this is the problem, right, with laws, right? Because the laws that you put in place, right, there's an intention, right, for these laws, right? But
Save money.
what actually happens is a lot of times is different than the intention, right? So now then I get into, should minimum wage be a living wage? And I say no. And this is deep to my heart, right? Because I grew up on welfare, right? My mom worked at Blockbuster, CVS, McDonald's, places like that, Walmart, right? So the reason why I don't believe is we have government assistance to help these people, right? We already have welfare is in place. I grew up, I was using food stamps to buy now and later.
They're already trying to take welfare.
So I was on.
They're already trying to take that.
Yeah,
So
but I
need you
don't
to
think the
understand
welfare
that.
system is going anywhere.
I don't
My
think
point
it's
is
going.
that my mom, right, worked
Doesn't.
her way up to manager, then she got better jobs, and then as her life progressed, she got off welfare. Because welfare is not meant for you to be on it for the rest of your life. It's meant to aid you,
Yep.
right,
Yep.
to get out of it, to be functional and get off of a minimum wage job, right? Minimum wage jobs are not meant for people
Starter positions.
who are
They get your foot in the
adults
door
with
into-
families,
Of course.
who are
Yeah,
who
yeah,
have
yeah.
real bills, right?
Yeah,
It's meant
yeah.
for the 14, 15-year-old kid that's trying to have a job to take his girlfriend to the movies.
To get your foot in the
when he's
door
high
to
school.
work you into employment.
So I don't believe that minimum wage should be a livable wage if there is a minimum wage. Now, I don't think minimum wage is going to go anywhere, right? And then, of course, depending on the state you live in, varies how much you pay to live and things like that.
You know,
So-
to add a fact to what you just said, though, to add a point to what you said about you know, the automation with them just replacing you with computers and machines.
Which they're going to do anyway.
No, listen, check this out. Just to give you an example of how the government works and how it operates. In 2006, 2007, this was like my first or second year in the Air Force. They were forcing higher ranked positions out. Do you know why?
Money. They force everyone out.
Do you know why?
Happens everywhere.
Because they had someone like me in their first year in that they can pay 4 or 5 times less to do the same job that they were having them do.
That's in every business.
But that's what I'm saying.
That's in every business.
And
So there's
guess what?
nothing new. There's nothing new.
That's
there.
what I'm saying.
There's
But
nothing
what
new.
he's saying is 100% factual of what the government thinks to do and what business owners are going to think to do. And they're going to say, okay, listen, you want higher wages? Cool. Let's get a machine.
There's
to come do
another
your job.
reason
because
why
of
I
that,
believe this
but
too,
because of
right?
that, creation happens.
Right.
But because of that, creation happens.
Of course, but
What do you mean by
also,
that,
right,
though?
Like new businesses, new workforces,
There's
new
another
workplaces.
factor, right?
Creation
The
happens.
future
because-
of the United States is in entrepreneurs.
Right, I agree.
There's still going to be
But-
creation.
but
There's still going to be. You're still
there's-
going to need labor.
There's
I don't
two-
care where you are.
there's
You're
two
still going to need
forms-
labor.
There's two forms of thinking in America, right? You have the liberal form of thinking where if you work hard and dream, you can be whatever you want, which is a lie, right? Then you have
I don't know if that's a lie.
Then you have the
but okay.
conservative form of thinking where it's pull yourself up by your bootstraps. It's the American dream, and if you just work hard, you'll achieve what you want.
Pull yourself up by
right?
the bootstrap until fucking cancer comes
Right.
around the corner unexpectedly, and then
Which-
now you have hospital bills.
Which is
coming
also
up.
a lie, right? It's somewhere in the middle, right? And why I say this is, right, 10% of the population, right, has a below average IQ, right? What that means is, right?
I'm part of that 10%.
No, you're not, right? And I'm going to tell you why, because you're in the military, right? The military did a study and realized that anyone that has less than 83 IQ can't even go overseas and die for their country. They're not smart enough, right? So you have 10% of the population, right, who for the rest of their lives most likely are going to need some type of government assistance. They can't do complex things, right? It's just a cognitive thing, right? You just didn't get the genetic gift from your parents. So with those people, right, that can't do complex things, how could you force an employer to pay them $15 an hour?
Because they can't live any other way.
But they can live because they have
government
welfare
assistance. But they're taking privileges and things away from government systems, and they're making it very difficult to get government assistance. So what I'm saying
They
is,
are
and
making
what
it
I'm
very
also
difficult
saying is,
because fraud's a big thing.
So now we're saying we can only give minimum wage to people who aren't cognitively able.
Hey, now let me-
to do
But
that.
the problem
That
with
makes no
welfare
sense.
is, right, we have a whole bunch of people who
Stay on it
whose
and take
IQ
advantage of
is
it.
way above 80.
Who take advantage of it.
Who are taking it. But any
course.
system like that, you're going to have
People are gonna take
have some
advantage of
type
it.
of level of fraud. right?
Absolutely.
Any system. My point is that if you force employers to pay people, right, X amount of dollars. Now, I'm not saying I don't believe there should be a minimum wage, because I believe that if you take minimum wage away, right, now employers have to compete to get the best job. So I believe the wages will rise anyway.
Hell
right?
no.
Because
Hell no.
Because
if
at
I
the
can
end
get
of the day,
if I can get cheaper labor, why the hell would I do it?
yeah, but
why the hell would I do
but
it?
You might be getting cheaper labor at the cost of the production, at the cost of quality.
It's McDonald's.
Right.
I don't need you to do anything but
Yeah.
say, how do you like your fries?
But that's my point.
I don't need you to do anything
Eventually,
else.
if you raise the minimum wage, they'll get rid of that. They'll get rid of those jobs, right? There'll be some cooks back there, but the guys in the front.
So let me
I'm
ask you
telling
this. Hey,
I
T,
France-
no,
in
T,
the
T.
south of France, I saw it.
I don't
Hey,
believe that at all.
hey, but T, let me
I
ask you
don't
this
believe
then.
that
Let me
at
ask you this.
all. I
Instead of
don't
just
believe that
arguing
at all.
about a topic, right? What about just brainstorming solutions? What if they said, you know what, we do agree that minimum wage should be a temporary thing? What if employers said, you know what, we agree to raise the minimum wage, but for 2 years,
For
3
X amount
years.
of time.
What if they do that? And then they say after
each
that-
person gets X amount of years on it.
But either way, we're operating, right?
What do you
as
think
if-
about that, though?
Okay,
I want to
let me
ask you. I want to ask your
Let
opinion
me
on
answer the
that.
question. We're operating as if every person that owns a business is in it for the greater good of the world. They're not.
No
They're in
one.
it for
No,
profit,
they're-
Yeah,
right?
of
They're in
course.
it for profit, right? So if it doesn't make sense, right? If the money doesn't make sense, they're not going to do it. They're not gonna do it.
Most
gonna do it.
businesses need labor.
They do.
They need labor.
They do.
So and what I'm saying is,
And you have to pay for that. And
you
if you
have
need
to pay for
quality
that.
But you know,
labor,
you
You have to pay. You have to pay a
you have to pay
premium
a
for it.
premium.
You have to pay a premium for it.
Which, right? those people with those skills will set that bar, right? A part of it is negotiating and knowing your worth.
But again,
right? Now obviously people are going to say, "Well, there's immigrants who are gonna." There's no immigrants still in your job because most of those jobs you're not willing to.
They don't want to do anyways.
You don't need a skill set for some of these jobs. You don't need a skill set to work at McDonald's. You don't need a skill set.
That's why I shouldn't be paying you $15 an hour for it.
But what I'm telling you is, if I'm not paying you $15, I'm paying you $7. I'm paying you $5. What is someone going to do with $5 an hour, even if it's a temporary job in Miami, Florida? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. But you're still going to be homeless with a $5 an hour job. That makes no sense.
When you're a grown man, grown woman, right? You shouldn't be working a minimum wage
It's
job.
not that you shouldn't be working a minimum wage job, Tyrone. We know that. A lot of people know that. But whatever you've done up to this point has caused you to have to work a minimum wage
job. Right? So you're bringing it full circle, right? There's variables, right, to everything. So, right, what you did here, like my mom had to work a minimum wage job, right, because she didn't graduate from high school.
Yes.
Right? So those were decisions that she made in her life or things that happened to her in her life where she couldn't graduate from high school. That's part of the process of growing and being an adult. If you don't make the right decisions in life, right, or you make the wrong decisions, maybe you get pregnant too.
Are you asking America to be responsible?
I'm asking.
Are you
for
asking
no, I'm asking for
to be
one of the variables.
Are you asking that?
I'm asking for one of the variables that make that make you a person, right? To be personal responsibility. At least one of those variables.
Oh, really?
I'm not saying that variable should be the end all be all.
As COVID is at an all time high, you're going to ask Americans to be responsible.
COVID is different.
I'm putting it as simple as I can put it. You cannot ask Americans to be responsible for themselves and it be okay. That's just retarded. I know you want to. I know we want to. I know we want to. I know,
but it has to be a variable.
But it can't.
Personal responsibility has to be a variable.
It should be.
Right?
It should be.
Because the reality, right? We had this argument the other day. The reality is, right, in the world, between the ages of 14 and 18, right, depending on the decisions that you make, will affect the options that you have to be successful, right? You can do
but you can always course correct.
Of course you can.
Regardless of age.
Of course you can.
You can course correct.
But you may have to course correct yourself at a minimum wage job first.
Correct? That is someone you believe who is taking full responsibility of their lives, and that right there is a very, very, very.
But it should be a variable.
Now look,
I'm not saying it's not difficult. I'm saying that should be a variable.
You would hope that someone would do that. You would hope and pray. That's the American dream.
But look, let me play devil's advocate for both of you because I technically agree with. I promise you I agree with both of you, and just to play with devil's advocate on both of you.
That's fucking naive.
Listen. Hold on, Joey. Let me finish. Joey, let me finish.
I think you see that because your mother did it.
Joey, let me finish though.
I commend her for doing it, and she did it under those circumstances.
Yeah.
So I commend her for doing
children.
I commend her for doing it, and you know how much I love your mom. I commend her for doing it. I think you see that and you understand it and you have that point of view simply because she did that. And I can give you examples of my family where someone who's done that. My cousin Mookie.
But Joey, let me finish. So I don't lose my train of thought though.
I don't think you're gonna have to write it down. I apologize. I don't think you can ask people to do that and think that that's gonna happen majority of the time.
But hold on. Listen, I'm trying to play devil's advocate with you guys. Hold on, listen. I'm trying to play devil's advocate with you guys.
It has to be a variable.
So how long?
I'm gonna need
how long do you think it's okay for an employer to pay someone a $15 minimum wage?
I think it's okay.
You think it's okay for it to be permanent?
Yeah, because guess what? You want to know something? Whatever the minimum wage may be. Whatever that minimum.
And the reason why I asked you that is because
it's different in every state.
That's your operating cost. Because that's a part of your operating cost. So whatever that your operating cost is.
No, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. You're saying that you want it to be.
It doesn't, and you can get a machine to do your job. You absolutely, and I have no problem. I have no problem with a business getting a machine to do your job.
Do you know what I think? You know what I think you're doing though, Joey?
You can't tell me there's not.
Joey, do you know what I think that you're doing though?
Tell me there's not other jobs.
Joey,
and that's my point. My point is there's other jobs you can get. You can learn a skill with your hands. You can do something that we need.
Oh, so now you're talking about personal responsibility.
I'm not. There's other jobs. You want to know how personal responsibility is going to happen? Because you're not going to have a job. That's how personal responsibility
Joey, if you put somebody at $15 an hour.
So we're not even disagreeing.
We are disagreeing. What I'm saying is you can't expect people to do that.
Oh, I'm not saying I expect. I'm saying that has to be a component.
I'm telling you simply that
If you want to be successful,
are you guys gonna let me talk now?
You can't sit here.
You can't sit here
and make the minimum. You can't drop the minimum wage or not have a minimum wage.
Joey, you gonna let me talk now?
Wage or not have a minimum wage, then you're asking people to work right now for $5 an hour.
Joey, do you know? Let me. Joey, $15 an hour. If you put somebody on $15 an hour, you know what you're doing to them? You're being their crutch. Do you know what the number one? Let me finish. Let me finish.
Stupid.
But let me finish. Do you know what I believe the number one thing is failure for men and women?
What?
Conformity.
Okay.
If you put somebody at $15 an hour and they're comfortable and they know that it's permanent, guess what they're gonna do?
Relax.
They're gonna stay there. And that's a job that, what he said, it's an entry level position to where you should just do for a certain amount of years.
Who stays at a job forever?
But that's what you're. But that's what you're saying.
Hey, who stays at a job forever?
But that's what you're saying though right now. But at $15 an hour, somebody that's comfortable is going to stay there.
No. You're going to stay there. You're going to stay there until you can't stay there anymore. You're going to stay there until your manager fire you. You're going to stay there until you cannot be there anymore.
Now what if you put it? Now what if you put it?
Who stays at a job forever?
Now what if you put that $15 an hour at 3-year mark and you say, hey, listen, you'll get $15 an hour for 3 years. After 3 years,
but there has to be an incentive for you to gain a skill.
You got to move on,
right? Incentive to gain a skill set
at some point.
There should be an incentive for you to gain a skill set.
And I get it. Everyone's not going to make the right decisions in life.
There should be an incentive. That's the point right there.
But that's why you have welfare.
That doesn't mean
that's why welfare exists. That's why welfare exists.
Welfare does exist. Welfare, as much as I.
So you're saying we should spoon feed everybody that fucks up in life?
Christ, you want to let me answer one? Of
No, I mean you weren't letting me answer a question. I'm asking you a question.
Let me answer one of the damn questions. I don't care. You want me to answer yours?
Yes.
I'll answer yours. What do you think? What are you asking?
You think that you should be spoon feeding someone?
No, you should not.
At $15 an hour for fucking 20 years.
You should not. First, again, who the fuck stays at a job for 20 years? Please tell me that. How many jobs have you had
10
since
years.
I've known you?
10 years.
Thank you. That does not happen.
10 years. Let's say 10 years.
10 years.
There's plenty of people that work at a job for 10 years.
In 10 years, I'm probably going to fire you. At a $15 an hour job, at 10 years, I'm probably going to fire you at some point in time.
Why?
Before that.
Yeah,
Why?
Because something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. You're going to do something stupid. The manager's going to change. Something's going to happen, and you're probably going to get fired. That's just the way business works.
So you're going off of you're going to assumption though. You're not going off.
I'm not going off assumption, and it doesn't make a difference if I'm paying you $15. I'm paying the next person $15.
Okay, it doesn't make a difference if you're paying someone $15 or $7 to a business owner.
Let me ask you.
The difference is
they're not doing it to be morally correct. They're doing it to be a businessman.
And what I'm telling you is that the government should regulate that, because at some point in time you have to live off the pay that you get. You have to live off the wages. So if it's $7 an hour, who can live off $7 an hour?
Okay.
I'm not saying that you can't, because in some places in bumfuck
People
Arkansas, you could probably live off $10.
So let me ask you.
You can't live off $7 an hour in Miami. That's impossible.
Let me ask you a 2-part question. Okay. What should the minimum wage be?
I don't know. That's hard to say.
Should the minimum wage be the same in every state?
No. That's no. Minimum wage in every state. No.
I can't.
The cost of living is different. That question is crazy. The cost of living is different.
So what should the minimum wage be in Florida?
I don't know, because I don't know what it takes to live in Florida.
I've lived in Florida.
What do you mean you don't know?
Yeah, but I've always made more than a minimum wage, so I don't know. So my vision, my version of living in Florida is completely different than somebody who needs to.
Jolan's admitting that he's bougie and he likes nice things.
I'm not admitting that I'm bougie and I like nice things.
And it's okay if you do, though.
I'm admitting that I'm admitting that I've been fortunate enough in my life where I don't have to live on a minimum wage and understand the lifestyle that it takes there. I haven't lived on a minimum wage since my mother.
But you know people that have lived in one
since my mom.
I know people that have lived. He knows people that live in one.
So I can tell you about Syracuse, New York. And Syracuse, New York, a 2-bedroom rent is probably $900. So we can figure this out. Like, I can do the math for you there. But I can't sit here. I can't tell you about that in Miami.
But that's the thing. There's Section 8.
My mom makes less than 20. My mother makes less than $20 an hour. But my mother makes less than $20 an hour. But she doesn't have anybody to take care of her. I mean, she doesn't have anybody to take care of. I'm fucking 35 years old. My mother can live on $20 an hour. That makes sense in Syracuse, New York. That does not make sense in Florida. If my mom was,
but there's plenty of people not making $20 an hour.
There's plenty of people not making $20 an hour.
And a lot of those people are living in Section 8.
But what I'm telling you is, at $20 an hour in Florida, at $20 an hour in New York, if you move that $20 an hour in Florida, my mother wouldn't be able to live.
This is my overarching point, right? Is, to me, I would rather put that money on the government than put it on a business, right? That's trying to make profit and trying to see goals and gains.
But you can't hold that against a business owner that's trying to be profitable, bro.
No, I'm not. But my point is that I would rather
maybe your business isn't profitable.
Work for $7 an hour for a job that's worth $7 an hour and get government assistance than force an employer to pay them $15.
Maybe your job
because what's going to happen is that employer is going to make your job obsolete. Now, even people who are on welfare, right? They want to have a purpose in life. They want to work. They want to do things. So when you get people that are on welfare and then they don't have a job, right? Then depression starts to get in, anxiety, and we know in this era,
guess what?
Depression
and anxiety are happening under a minimum wage.
Absolutely.
You know what?
So they're happening with people who are rich.
If you shorten it, if you decrease the minimum wage, guess what's still going to happen? Depression and anxiety. So you're not changing anything.
I'm not necessarily saying to decrease the minimum wage. I'm saying that we don't need to increase the minimum wage.
You certainly need to increase it if you're seeing depression and anxiety on $7 an hour. What are we talking about?
It doesn't incentivize you to go get a skill, though.
I'm not saying it will not.
It gets conformity, which is the number one reason why people fail in life. When they get comfortable.
I do not believe that's the number one reason people fail in life. I believe that people make excuses for themselves and they can't get out of their own way. They make excuses for themselves.
People get comfortable.
Can't get out of their own way.
Also, I think the word is comfortability and not conformity.
No, it is conformity.
You sure?
100% it's conformity.
We might have to have somebody check that.
You can check it right now.
Pretty fact check that. But I you guys, shit. You are sushi and steak. You are surf and turf.
Listen,
I remember when you used to eat fucking oodles and noodles. Eat your hand out of the goddamn
conformity.
Dig your hand.
Hey, hold on, real quick. Hold on,
right
Joey.
Are surf and turf, my guy. I'm starting to see surf and turf from this way. You are surf and turf, my friend.
Listen, man.
Joey.
Just being real, man.
Listen,
hey,
you a long way from the Brockton Fair. You a long way from the Brockton Fair. I remember Brockton Fair. You a long way from that, bro.
T, conformity. You ready? Conformity. Compliance with standards, rules, or laws. Conformity.
God.
It's the word.
It's God.
Yeah, but that's not the same thing. Because you're saying comfortable.
Yeah, conformity. The reason why people fail is due to conformity. They're comfortable.
I think that they run against so many different obstacles and they don't know how to get.
What else we got?
Everyone don't know how to get it. Not everyone does that. Most of us are responsible. I have one child. I'm responsible if I have one child. Like not everybody's that responsible. I love my daughter, but I understand kids are expensive.
So should the employer get the have the burden of you not being a responsible human?
The employer there should be a minimum wage. I don't care if you find as an employer, it's your job.
But you're not giving me a number. Listen, there's minimum wage at $7 an hour.
Yeah, but the thing is, he can't give you a number. That's not fair.
That's not a fair question.
It's different.
Okay, so wait, before we move on,
as an employer,
is $7 a livable wage?
No,
maybe depending on where you live. I don't know where I don't know where that is. Tell me where a $7 minimum wage is. Maybe
Texas, Wisconsin, South Carolina, Pennsylvania.
Chief, don't tell me Texas because it's not $7.
New Mexico, North Carolina, North Dakota.
Yeah, but you got
Kentucky, Kansas, Iowa, Indiana, Idaho.
You also got to tell me what the cost of living there is.
Yeah, nobody's living at $7 an hour. In
I got to know what the cost of living is.
That's do the math on $7.25 an hour.
I'm just saying, we don't got
$7.25.
I'm just saying, but the cost of living is different, though, man.
Okay, but
that's
is that livable?
But the definition of livable is different for everybody, though.
Exactly.
And if you have a family or not, if you're single, if you're by yourself,
it's
like if you're a teenager living at your parents' house,
which is why the government gives assistance.
I do need you to understand that I have no problem with the business automating their services. I have no problem with that.
Well,
automating their services.
But that's what it's going to.
I'm already going to. Guess what? And I'm perfectly fine with that because at that point now.
So you're fine with these people receiving welfare and not working? No, I would rather them work.
I want them. I believe when you run out of options, you find a way to figure something out. I believe that. That's the way I believe.
So you're saying just let them fall flat on their face?
No, I'm not saying fall flat on their face because this is going to happen over time. Like it's what happens over time.
What if you've been at Whole Foods for 10 years and now they've just automated your job?
But you knew that was coming. You see it coming. Yes, it is. Because I remember being a kid when you walked into Whole Foods.
Yeah, but not everybody thinks like you.
I remember being a kid when you walk into Whole Foods, there was 18 cashiers, and there's 18 cashiers there.
Well, this guy just said I'm not Oodles the Noodles Tyrone anymore, and this guy was in Whole Foods when he was a kid. I didn't go to Whole Foods till I was like 21.
There's not a Whole Foods in Syracuse. Are we done?
There wasn't a Whole Foods where I grew up.
Okay, there's not a Whole Foods in the city of Syracuse.
Well, you said when you were a kid.
Yeah, Wegmans. Price Chopper, whatever you want to call it.
Guy said Whole Foods.
Again, when you when you're a child and you walked into Publix, you saw 18 cash registers. You saw 18 people.
You said Whole
He
Foods.
did say Whole Foods.
I don't go to Whole Foods now. Fam.
That's crazy.
Publix all day.
You don't go to Whole Foods now.
Publix,
you got
Costco,
it.
fam.
You don't.
I don't go
to
anywhere,
Whole
actually. My
Foods
wife does that. Shout out to Brittany
Like, we're
Pruitt.
not gonna do. I'm not even gonna go there with you. What I'm saying is, over time.
Shout out to Tom Lynch.
Whole Foods is
Over
expensive. What you
time,
doing in there,
Whole
man?
Foods is so expensive. This guy's bad and bougie, fam. I'm telling you.
Listen.
Oh my god!
Nobody's eating at Whole Foods. Like, I don't even cook for myself. Like,
Whole Foods is so expensive. When you get food there, they weigh it. Like when you get like something to eat, they weigh it.
I don't eat food from Whole Foods. I don't know.
What's the next question?
Hey.
T?
Fuck the both.
All right. So we got another two-part question.
Tupac.
How is working from home during the pandemic, and why is
I don't know. I'm not
COVID
doing it.
so polarizing in terms of politically?
For the same reason that you don't believe it's minimal, there should be a minimum wage. That's why it's polarizing.
I think it's polarizing politically because of Trump. Because of him not wearing a mask, it's making all his supporters. No, this is 100% true. Like this guy is like, oh, I don't need to wear a mask. Like he's down. He was trying to downplay COVID so much that his Trump supporters, they are ride or die. Like I in my lifetime,
just to
never
give
seen
you
a
guys
ride or
some
die.
numbers, right? 42% of Americans are working full time from home.
Okay.
42%. Which has changed the landscape of like there's department stores going out of business left and right. There's a whole bunch of companies.
Hey, by the way, shout out to me because a few years ago I have a Facebook post. So if anybody wants to fact check me on that, that said a few years ago it was. Hey, listen, it was about 5 or 6.
Who's this guy? Donald Trump.
Hey,
Joe Biden.
hey, it was about
check me
5 or 6 years ago that I made a post and I said that the brick and mortar business is gonna be prehistoric. It's gonna be like the vinyl record.
Oh yeah, it's done for.
And it's crazy because I saw it coming, man. And
It's done for.
That's not true.
COVID had
Most of those department stores.
COVID has sped it up.
Steinmart just went out
COVID
of
has
business.
sped it up, and I'm telling you that
I think those departments.
the age of automation has just been.
those
Plus
departments.
sped up.
Amazon, fan. You can get anything.
Yeah, Amazon's a huge
can get anything on
part of it.
Amazon.
But
I
those department stores have
Shout out to Amazon.
Budget?
My wife shops there every day.
budget wise they screwed themselves. Now again, no one's thinking a pandemic was going to happen. So this is why they screwed themselves. And land and rent is expensive. Nobody's giving them a break on those things.
So
this is why those stores are going out of
You
business.
worked
this
from
is
home
why-
during the pandemic. So
Yeah.
did I. How was that for you?
It's easy because I'm a person who can get up and do my own thing. I can get up and go to work and I can focus and I mean, it was just, for me, it wasn't a big deal.
Do
But
you
for other
prefer
people, it's a
working
big
from
deal.
home?
No, honestly, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it simply because I was home. Like I didn't have the 40-minute drive that I have to work every day and home every day. But outside of that, no, I like talking to people. I like interacting with people. I like working. I like going somewhere and focusing.
For every individual, it's going to be different.
If you remember back when we were in college, I only watched tape at the facility. Like that's just I need that. For me, I need that. I can't watch tape sitting in my room with the TV on and my phone sitting next to me. No, I gotta isolate myself from that. So for me, going to the office, I'm all for it. John Hayes, listen, when he said come to the office, I would have been there 3 weeks earlier.
See, for me, it was a little bit different because my son was born on leap year, literally like a week before like the whole COVID thing became big. So it was like paternity leave for me. So I really enjoyed working from home. In general, I think I wouldn't mind going to the office a couple days a week, but I could definitely do my job from home. I know a lot of people don't want to be at work now and are working, and I don't know. Yeah, it definitely depends on the person.
I said this to a few of my friends, man. When it comes to business stuff like that, man, I like to think that I'm a progressive thinker, and I'm very big on technology and innovation. And I think that COVID has definitely sped up the process and opened up a lot of eyes of business owners to say, you know what, man, maybe I don't need to be paying rent on this building. A lot of people can do Zoom calls. A lot of people can be working remotely and from home. And if you do a survey, man, my belief is that a lot more people than you think would say that they enjoy working from home because of the commute, like you said, because of spending more time at home with their family.
And people work more too. I felt like I worked longer hours when I worked from home.
When COVID's over, everyone's going back in office.
No, I think
there's a couple
you're wrong,
companies like Google and
I
some
think
other
you're wrong,
companies
man.
that said that people can permanently work from home.
We're gonna have different opinions here.
You know what they did? Yeah, you could permanently work from home, but you can't. But when you permanently work from home, something like they cut your pay. It was like
no.
Yes.
Listen.
I think there should be some type of.
I'm telling you right now. We're gonna look back on this and we're gonna listen to this audio right now. And in 10, 15 years from now, a lot more people than you think are gonna be working automated from home, and they're gonna be using the. Good. Let me be crazy. And a lot of people are going to be using technology to help them advance their businesses and save money, because at the end of the day,
that's a no-brainer.
What's a business owner looking at? What's a business owner
line.
bottom line?
Bottom line. And I think too, like this
But
is
the bottom line-
significantly affected the paper company, because there's a lot of companies that were dealing with heavy amounts of paper that realized that everything can be done digitally.
You're dealing with
everything.
We're late though.
You're
it's
talking about-
2020. We're fucking late.
But there's companies that have been stuck in their ways.
It took COVID to make people realize that this is the better way.
You're talking about tech companies. Tech companies can work online. Most companies aren't tech companies. That just not gonna happen.
You gotta adjust or die.
Tech companies. It's not that you can
adjust or die.
There's a lot of companies that died during the pandemic.
Adjust or die.
Companies, and that's where that's going to happen. If it's a tech company, Microsoft, Apple, of course you can work online. That's how they built their business. But we're talking about companies who have.
Do you know what Target's doing right now?
Open. I haven't seen a Target
No,
close.
but do you know what they're doing though? Do you know what they're doing?
Target and Walmart.
Have you?
Do you know what they're doing though? Right?
What?
You guys know what they're doing, right?
What?
They are pushing their marketing and advertising on ordering from home and it being delivered to you.
You want to know why? Because no one's going outside. When people can go outside,
there's a lot of people going outside.
Not when no one's going outside.
Wide open.
Not when no one's going outside. Not when no one's going outside. When they're limiting going outside. When
Florida was closed for 2 weeks.
When Florida's closed for fucking 3 days. When that thing opens back up, do you think they care about the marketing online? No, people are still gonna be out. That's the difference. Amazon was built online. It was literally built online. We've never seen an Amazon store. Guess what?
We live in the microwave era now,
you told
Joey.
nobody to go to. You told nobody to
Everybody
go to
wants instant.
Of course, everybody wants instant. But guess what? Instant is me driving to
Target. Not if Amazon can get it to the point to where they can get it to you the same day. That's what they're pushing for.
Amazon.
I hope you know that. They're pushing to where you order something and guess what? It gets delivered to you on the same day. Joey.
And you want to know why they're doing that? You want to know how they're doing that? They're buying up Sears, all the stores that closed.
Why did those stores close?
Okay, yeah. Guess what those stores are? Brick and mortar.
Yeah, brick and mortars are going to be dead.
They're buying up more brick and mortars. They're buying up the brick and mortar.
Technology.
That's just to stock their
technology
to stock their
to
stuff.
Stock it and get it faster.
Yeah.
They're buying up brick and mortars. So it's not like it's disappearing. No, those companies couldn't survive. Those companies were on our last dime regardless. Sears. Listen, when I was a kid, you walk into Sears, it was like Christmas. You walk into Sears 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, it was bare.
If you're not using technology and innovation as a business owner, your company's going to be dead in the next 5 years.
Target, Walmart, that shit doesn't matter to them. When you're talking about Sears, yeah, it matters. When you're talking about Lord & Taylor, yeah, it matters.
But you know why it doesn't matter to
those
Target and
places don't
Walmart?
matter.
Because they're adapting.
God, you're kidding me. Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you.
I mean,
you are kidding
Target and Walmart, they're making money right.
They're making
They're
money.
not losing no money.
Because they're adapting.
They weren't losing money before this.
Because they're adapting.
Sears and all those stores that are going out of business were losing money prior.
I was in Target yesterday. You know what they were saying in the intercoms? If you don't feel safe shopping in our stores, please go to our online automated thing. You don't think that's innovation? You don't think that's technology? You don't. What do you think that is? That's adaptation. That's adapting.
They had an online store prior. They had an online store prior to COVID.
Yeah, but now they're doing it to where they're making sure that their deliveries happen
They had
faster.
an online store. Listen, everybody get overnight shipping. Overnight shipping's been around for 10 years. Everybody's doing overnight shipping. What are we talking about? No, there's no difference. Target, those places are no different.
5-10 years from now, we're going to look at this conversation and you're going to be looking at it different.
Steinmart wasn't a popular store prior to it. It's like Toys R Us.
It was pretty popular.
It's like Toys R Us. Everybody loved Toys R Us as a kid. Everybody loves it. But guess what? Somebody came on, Amazon, who can get you toys from across the country, and guess what? They go out of business. They had bad business models from the beginning. Blockbuster, bad business model. These things happen. If you have a bad business model.
Why was Blockbuster a bad business model? Why did it go out of business?
Blockbuster was a bad business
Why did it go out of
because
business?
Because Netflix.
Blockbuster just didn't adapt. They were arrogant.
Thank you.
That's the
They
problem.
were arrogant.
And that's what's going to happen to these companies that are not going to adapt.
Who's not going to adapt? It's stupid. Everybody uses that now.
Sears didn't
Back
adapt
then,
like you just said.
Sears didn't adapt 10 years ago. They were already going out of business.
Okay,
That's
but what do you think is
problem.
going to happen to the companies now?
What companies now?
COVID is speeding up
Again,
the process.
A lot of those
innovation.
department stores are not going to
Tell me what companies. What, Macy's? Neiman Marcus? Neiman Marcus is definitely going to make it. Bloomingdale's is definitely going to make it.
Yeah, but
because you want to know
cut
why?
back on stores.
They are going to. They have to cut back on stores because anytime you go through a loss as the pandemic, anytime you're going through a loss as the pandemic, the first thing you do is cut off the bottom line. It's like the
internet
airlines.
sales.
It's like the airlines.
COVID just sped it up.
It has nothing to do with that.
COVID sped it up.
Because at some point in time, people are going to go back outside. And what do you do on every Saturday? As a kid, what are you doing every Saturday?
But
As a mom, what are you doing every
not
Saturday?
everybody
You go
likes
the
to go
mall.
outside like you. Some
You
people
had
like
a
to
great
stay
life.
home.
I didn't go to the mall every Saturday.
Some people like to
I
stay
wish I grew up
home.
in Syracuse.
Joey, some people like to stay home and just get their shit right at the door. They don't want to go
Listen,
outside.
man,
They
people-
don't want to have to get dressed up.
I order everything.
Some people,
online.
some people are insecure with how they are, how they look, who they are going to be
If
seen
you
with,
think-
who they're not going to be seen with, what car they're driving. Some people just want to get their shit delivered to them. They don't want to fucking see somebody.
People don't want to go to the store and try on clothes when everything literally like gets back to normal and you don't have to wear a fucking mask.
I've been ordering
You
stuff
gotta
for the
be
last
kidding
5
me.
years, though.
You got to be kidding
Me personally.
Yeah,
But that's what I'm saying. Not everybody thinks the same.
You
He's thinking that
personally-
everybody's like him.
But my
and wants
wife,
to go outside.
she wants to
and
go to
want-
the store.
Thank you.
Try things
But that's-
on.
that's-
Hey,
look at
whoa.
them,
Who buys
touch
shit?
them.
Hey,
Who buys shit?
hey.
Women are the number
Women
one
buy
Hey.
shit.
consumers in
Men don't buy nothing.
but
I don't
that's-
do nothing but open up my credit card.
Okay, but
Women buy
that's
it.
dependent on the individual.
No, every woman's like
That's
that.
no, it's not.
Oh, man,
no, it's
come
not.
on.
Not every woman.
You name
like
a woman
that,
who don't
man.
want to try on her clothes.
I
Name a
guarantee
woman
you.
who don't
I
wanna
guarantee
try
you. There's a
please. If you're a woman and you don't want to try on your clothes,
Hey,
please
we're
shoot that
seeing
in
now.
the DM.
You're just shooting about. You're
Please
just talking
shoot that
about
in the
clothes
DM.
right now.
It-
There's plenty of women that I guarantee
What
you that
other
if you look at
store
their
is going out of
Amazon
business?
accounts, I guarantee you that they've been spending more on Amazon than
other
anything
sto-
else.
because they have
guarantee,
to.
even before the pandemic. Even
no,
before the pandemic.
no.
Guarantee you.
Yeah, bro,
Well, I mean,
house
Amazon
items?
is a one-stop shop. You just
On
type in
house
something and it
items?
pops up.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but
For a
Amazon
woman
is
to
unique.
try on
But,
clothes.
if you're not adapting, you're gonna
That's
die
why
as a
Jeff-
business.
That's why
Name
Jeff
a business
Bezos
That's
has
why.
it.
That's why a lot of
X
these
amount of dollars
businesses
per day.
are starting to adapt to make sure that everything happens instantly.
You guys are crazy. You guys are nuts. When this thing's over, you stop wearing masks. I want to hear this crap because this is ridiculous.
We got one last question.
It's the last question, man.
Last question, man.
Hour 18, man. We pushing.
Last question and get out of here. Was the shot on Andy Dalton that knocked him out of the game a cheap shot? That's the first part of the question.
I don't watch Dallas Cowboy football.
Second part of the question is, but you saw the hit. Second part of the question is, why didn't any of his teammates rush the person that hit him?
I believe Bostic hit him. Was it cheap? Yes. Was this thing happen fast on football? Yes.
You think that was a cheap shot?
I don't think it was a cheap shot.
Yeah.
You being a football player?
Yeah.
You fucking gladiator? You think that was a cheap shot?
I don't think it was a cheap shot. Get
Again,
down 2 yards earlier.
Hey. We've been. If you've been playing football,
I'm not answering this question. I never played football. You guys did.
You've been playing football for the last. They've made this. They've made this.
So you're saying it's because of the rules?
They've made this an emphasis for 7 years. He's been in the league since they made it an emphasis.
Yes.
He knows that that's what's going to happen. He knows that that's going to.
He needs to play within the rules. That's what you're saying.
He needs to play within the
But
rules.
he's not a previous offender.
He's not a previous offender. Listen. I'm guessing the kid just wanted. The kid was eager.
Okay,
like it happened.
You
I don't want to call him a
played
kid
with
because you're a
Drew
grown
Brees,
man.
right? So
You're a grown man.
my thinking is right.
Oh,
If that
somebody
happened
hits
to
Drew Brees like that.
The whole offensive line is rushing at him.
Yeah, of course. But guess what? Drew got to love. Like I don't expect Andy to have the love.
But were they wrong for that? I think
Yes.
the offensive line was wrong. For
Of
that.
course.
Like you got to rush
Yes,
that
of
man.
course.
Whether you like to me,
Of course.
as a defensive player, that's a clean hit. Get down 2 yards earlier. Stop trying to steal yards. But as an offense, you got to rush.
that's
that.
So
not
do
the
you
way-
think? Do you
that's
think?
crazy.
That's
do you-
not the way balls play.
Hey, I want to ask you guys this. You guys
not the way
think? You
balls
guys
play
think it's
anymore.
because you guys obviously played, right? So does the team take the characteristic of the coach? Do you think it's because of McCarthy, or
No.
or you think it's that they don't have respect for him?
No, it has.
They don't have respect. They don't have respect for Andy Dalton.
If Tyron Smith was playing, he's rushing Boston.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if Zach Martin was playing. I don't think
it depends on
it depends on who's playing.
there.
But there's certain guys like there's
So
no
it's
way
like
that's going down.
it's on some shit like
No
yo,
way.
even though I don't like my cousin, that's my cousin. Like you ain't gonna
Of course.
disrespect
That's
him
the way
like
that is.
That's
I
so
believe
that, it's
that
like that though.
I believe that Tyron Smith would have risked getting kicked out of the game to rush Boston over that hit. Game was over anyways.
Yeah. I just think that I just think that Andy he hasn't been on the team very long.
If that was Dak, would they have rushed?
I hope so.
Maybe I hope so.
I hope so. I just think
That's crazy.
I just think Andy hasn't
I
been
saw
on the
that.
team that long.
I couldn't believe it.
There's not like that.
Is that
love
is that
and
some
bond
code?
there.
Is that like some universal code
That's
in
code.
the NFL that you that's your regardless
That's
if you
code.
like him or not, that's your teammate.
That's code.
Clean hit to me though.
That's code, and it's not a clean hit. Like we're not gonna play that game.
Clean hit.
Clean
Yeah,
hit 10,
it's
10
clean
years ago.
10 years ago.
10 years
15
ago?
years ago, it's a clean hit. Like the NFL you're stuck in is long gone. That thing is long gone. Ain't no more of that.
You know me.
Jacked
Hey,
up. That
don't-
thing long gone.
Don't play them.
So hey,
Nah, I got it.
let me ask you this: even though it was an offensive player that got smacked like that, which was Andy Dalton, right, and only the offensive players were on the field, would you guys have gotten mad if a defensive player would have ran out there and
Nah, you don't want to do
You-
that.
you
'cause
can't
then
run out there.
You're looking at
No,
different
no.
type of
You can't run
suspensions
out there.
where you can't run out.
You can't run out there.
That's,
I would not have.
But
I would not
if
have
a
gotten
defensive
mad.
player did do that, would you guys have gotten
I
mad
wouldn't
at
have
him?
gotten mad
you
about
can't
it,
do
but
that.
you messing with lots
No,
of
no, no,
money,
you can't
lots
do
of
that. You can't do
games.
that.
Like you
Now-
run on the field, that's different type of suspensions.
Now, if there's some shit where, hey, we going on defense, somebody better get him back.
Yeah.
Somebody better do something.
Yeah. I might have to take
I'm
the
okay with
receiver's
that.
head off or
I'm
No,
okay with that.
so you're gonna get another player, not him,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah,
Oh yeah, somebody got paid for that.
Oh, that's
in the
crazy.
old days that would
the old
happen.
days,
Now,
it's-
nowadays,
Somebody got paid that tax.
old
Somebody
days
got
they-
paid that
they-
tax.
It's like the equivalent of getting hit by a pitch and then you
Yeah.
come up and the next person
Absolutely.
hits you with a pitch.
Somebody got
It's
paid
the
that
same
tax. That's what we did. Yeah, I mean,
But football's taking
That's
that
what-
away.
what football
You
used to
can't
be.
do that.
So for his O lineman not to rush that man like and not give a fuck,
They don't respect.
they don't respect him.
I'm
They have no
not-
type of
I'm
relationship
not
with
gonna
him.
say-
So
I'm
you
not
say they
gonna
have
say-
no type of
They
relationship.
respect him as a man, but they probably don't respect him as a
They
football
don't-
player.
They have no relationship with him.
They have no
They
relationship.
have no
with him.
relationship
They
with
have
him.
no relationship with him. I
But
think that all
still
comes
though,
in-
I've been out to places with people that I don't give a fuck about, but just because they're with me, if they get into some kind of problem, like you got it's your problem too now.
Of course, you've seen me before.
Yeah,
Of
that's
course.
but that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
You got it. You got to.
That's not.
You don't
that's
think
not
so?
always true.
It's not
don't think
always
that's
true.
always true.
I think it depends on who it is.
I don't think that's always
It's not
true.
always
Depends
true. It
on
depends
who
on
it
who
is.
it is. I got to
That's not
rock with
always
you
true.
though. I got to rock
course.
with you first.
But
But
a friend of a friend is not welcome. That's what my people used to say. Friend of a friend is not welcome.
But I think that's it for us then today.
yeah,
That was the last question?
It was a great podcast, man.
Episode 3.
Episode 3 in the books. Can't wait to give you episode 4. We appreciate you guys listening and
Follow.
share, like, subscribe. We love everybody. Unapologetic Gentlemen. We out of here.
You.
We out.